So this was my first time going on to the I regret having children page, and I've always heard about it. And it
I didn't even
has
know that it
eight.
was a Facebook thing.
Yeah, I've heard about it for a long time, and I always was like, how do they do that? Like, is it a closed group? Because like, how do you share that stuff? You know.
Hmm.
So I learned. So it's 80,000 people, I think, follow or like the page, which is also scary because I'm like, who's liking that publicly or following that publicly? But anyway, 80,000 people. And I guess the way that it works is you submit your stories anonymously
Oh.
to the moderator, I believe, and then the moderation team,
Oh,
reposts it
wow.
as
Okay.
anonymous.
Interesting.
Okay. So all I did was go scroll through the most recent top posts and I picked the ones that had the most reactions.
Hmm.
And so it's kind of annoying because like on Reddit you can like filter by or and sort by like best of all time or most recent or da da da. So there's not really, I don't think there's like that functionality, at least in my web browser version of Facebook. So we're gonna just go based on popularity from emojis. The
Great.
first post: I'm 56 years old and I'm raising a toddle. Toddle?
A toddle. Yeah, I would be pissed too.
Oh my god. Okay, let me start that one over. I'm 56 years old and I'm raising a toddler again. My
Mm.
daughter had her baby at 17. I remember the day she told me she was pregnant, her hands shaking, eyes full of fear. I was devastated, but I tried to be supportive. I told her she'd have to grow up fast, that this was going to be hard, and she swore she was ready.
Pause. Can I pause?
I was literally paused to come back to your face to talk about that.
Why do people do this? Why do
Well,
people let minors have children? If let's imagine theoretically I had a kid, my kid
mhm.
was, because I just saw a story the other day where somebody had a baby at 14. Why the fuck did their parents let them do that? Even if my child was 18 and was like, I'm going to have this baby, I'd be like, no, you're not.
Yeah. This gets into a weird ethical conversation, right? Like,
How?
um, I don't know. I guess I have been raised that, like, my mom was like, if you ever got pregnant, it would be 100% your decision. It wouldn't be
When
mine.
you're a minor?
Mm-hmm.
No.
I have it ingrained in my brain that, like, oh, like, I always anticipated if I ever got pregnant, it would be up to me to decide because it's my kid. Now, I mean, I think you should be able to advise this is a terrible idea. This is a horrible idea. Here are the boundaries I'm setting. If you have the kid, this is how I am or am not helping. But I don't think I would force my kid to get an abortion.
No, I would not let my child have a baby. You're
This is
not,
fascinating. I would love to
you,
know other people's opinions on this.
yeah, I would too. You literally, you can't even consent. Like, you can't open a bank account on your own. Like, you can't do anything.
I mean, there's a lot of things the government doesn't let you do
Yeah, how are you going to raise
that
a kid?
should, you know, I mean, you can't even fucking drink alcohol, but you can die for your country. Like, there's so many
Yeah,
backwards ass things that
I
don't make
know.
sense. But anyway, I feel like that could be its own fucking episode. But I was going to comment on the fact that, like, when you're 17 and you swear you're ready, you're a fucking idiot. I also wanted nothing more than a puppy for my 16th birthday. And I, like, cried and sobbed and begged and said, I need a puppy. And that was, like, the only thing I could fucking do was get a puppy. My parents got me a puppy. And then I went to college 2 years later.
100%.
You're an idiot, you know?
That's what I
You're an
mean. How
idiot.
can you possibly make a decision like this at that age?
No, you're an idiot. And, like, clearly the mom is going to basically raise the kid for you.
Wait, if you had a kid and your kid was 14 years old
Mm-hmm.
and they had a baby or they got
Mm-hmm.
pregnant, you would let them
Mm-hmm.
have the baby?
It's not that I would. I kind of. I mean, I wouldn't force them to get an abortion. No, I don't think I would.
Wow. Okay.
I would strongly discourage having a baby. Like,
Wow.
I'd be like, don't do it. But what are you gonna? I don't know. I wouldn't force them.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. I mean, I guess you
But
can't force someone to have an abortion, but I also,
yeah, I mean, yeah, listen, I'm not even having kids for a lot of reasons, so I never had to be in this position. So
okay.
thank God.
Let's go on.
But let's see. So she said she swore she was ready. She swore she would step up and be the kind of mother she never felt she had. which we could unpack that because this is coming from the mother who is basically saying my daughter said I was not the mom she wanted.
Yeah, what?
I think we just read it like
Maybe
that.
she means Winnie.
Yeah, Winnie's like, you're not my mom. You can't tell me what to do.
Do you think Suhei's here?
Wait, that's what I'm wondering. Do you think Suhei's here?
Check.
Check the Ring camera. No. No.
Wonderful.
I'm so excited again.
Do you think that when she said the kind of mother she never felt she had, do you think she meant like a mom who would stop her 17-year-old from having a baby?
Yeah, responsible mother, yes. Okay, so it continues. And to her credit, she tried. For the first year, she really did. She went to school, worked part-time, took care of her daughter to the best that she could, but the exhaustion wore her down. The late nights, the crying, the constant need, she started slipping. Which, first of all, if you're that exhausted at 17...
That's what I was thinking. Don't you have like the
Like,
most
you
energy
need, like-
in your life at that age?
I think you need, like, what? Like 4 hours of sleep to be a
Yeah.
functioning thing? Yeah.
Thing.
Human, I guess. And then she says, first it was more naps during the day, then more time on her phone. Eventually she stopped going to work, then she stopped coming home at all. One day,
She stopped coming home.
oh, she stopped coming home, yeah. Okay.
Doesn't
One
sound
day
like she was tired and she stopped coming home.
Sounds like she's fucking depressed and yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like she's regretting her life.
Exactly. Exactly. One day she handed me the baby, grabbed her bag, and said she needed a break. Just a couple of weeks, she said. That was almost a year ago. I've called, I've begged, I've asked her to come back and co-parent, at least co-parent. She always has a new excuse. A new man, a new job, a new plan. Meanwhile, I'm here changing diapers with arthritic hands and falling asleep with cartoons still playing on the TV. This wasn't supposed to be my life. I did the hard years already. I raised my child. I worked multiple jobs. I missed birthdays, anniversaries, sleep, and peace just to keep us afloat. Retirement was supposed to be my reward. Oh, God.
I
I
know.
hate that.
I know.
Let that be a lesson to everybody. Don't
Literally.
let retirement be your reward.
Truly.
I was 5 years away from retirement. I'd finally started letting myself dream, slow mornings, reading in the sun, traveling, taking care of me for once. I was going to breathe. Now I'm pulling from my savings to buy baby formula. I'm exhausted, broken, lonely. My friends are booking cruises and spending weekends with their feet up while I'm over here chasing a 2-year-old around the house, praying she'll nap long enough for me to sit down. I love my granddaughter. I love her with my whole soul, but I didn't ask to be her mother. I didn't ask to start over, and some days I feel swallowed up by anger and guilt. Angry at my daughter for walking away, guilty for feeling trapped because who do I even get to talk to about this? People will just say, well, at least the baby has you. Like I should be grateful. Like my sacrifice isn't breaking me. I'm writing this because I needed to say it out loud. Maybe somebody out there understands what it feels like to have your future snatched out from under you by your own child. Maybe somebody else knows what it's like to start all over when you're so close to finally being free. Because I'm tired and I don't know when I get to rest.
Newsflash, you don't.
You don't.
You gave birth to a piece of shit and then you let your piece of shit have a piece of shit. Well, we don't know if that kid's a piece of shit yet, but probably to an extent.
Probably.
That fucking sucks.
It's so crazy how, like, again, society. I mean, I don't know if you've been seeing the Sophie Turner shit talking about her kids. Oh,
No, I
no,
don't
maybe it
think
wasn't
so.
Sophie Turner. Maybe it's J-Law. Jennifer.
Oh, I have
Lawrence?
seen that, yes.
Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence, who's like, motherhood changes you. Like, I feel more. It's, the same shit. I'm
know.
paraphrasing, but it's like the hardest and the best thing I've ever done. And so it's like people just perpetuate this idea of like motherhood deepens like your understanding of life and humanity, and like you're going to know things to an intense level that you would never know unless you have kids. And so these poor people are having kids because they're like, well,
I gotta do it.
I gotta do it. Everybody says it makes your life so much better. And then all these people are like, I was almost free of motherhood.
No, it is crazy. Also, I mean, we've said this on the pod before. You've said this on the pod before. celebs need to shut the fuck up about
Yep.
having children.
Yep.
You have so much money. It's a
Mm-hmm.
completely different experience to experience all these fucking hormones, but still have all the extra support and care you could possibly ever need.
Mm-hmm.
What? I want Jennifer Lawrence. I want to take all her money away and let her raise her kid with no money saved
Yeah.
POV.
And a lot of people, even without funds, say that kind of shit too, right?
Yeah, and then it's just hormones.
Yeah.
You just needed a
Or
little
they're just
acid.
lying to themselves because they're like, I cannot believe. Like, I think there's a small percentage of people who genuinely love it for whatever fucking
Yeah.
like masochistic thing that they're into.
Yeah.
But like for the majority, I think it's like a lie that they have to tell themselves to get through the day.
Totally.
So that was regretful parent post number 1. And the top comment here, which I thought was interesting, not a word about the dad here. Not
Bingo.
a word about abortion.
I didn't even think about the dad.
Isn't that crazy?
I was like, why even bother?
I know. It didn't even cross my mind.
Nope.
Not a word about giving up the baby for adoption. Also, nothing about regret.
Yeah, I did actually wonder about the adoption thing. What
Mm.
do you think it would be wrong to put for this mom to put that kid up for adoption?
No,
Yeah,
it's not your responsibility. It's not your kid.
but don't you
I
think
mean,
a lot
is
of people would be
society
like,
going to make
how
who
dare
feel like-
you?
who
Society.
would?
Think most
Exactly
people-
the
yeah.
same thing. Yeah. Everyone would judge you, but like, fuck them. Like, fuck your daughter. Like, she didn't step up, which is funny because the first thing out of her mouth was like, I want to raise my mom, or I want to raise my kid because
Yeah,
I
the
didn't have the
mother I
mom
never
that I
had.
wanted. And then she just
Spoiler
turned into
alert.
a worst
Yeah,
version
he
of
didn't want to be her mom, so she said, "I gotta go."
yeah. It's bad.
She literally said, "The mother I never had." She
Mhm.
said, "You will never have me.
You will
I'm
never have a mother.
gone."
Yeah.
You could probably find some kind of joint situation where there's maybe a family that wants to adopt, but she could still be in the picture. The grandmother.
I mean, I think isn't that like the dream that you could find somebody who wants to raise your kid who's in your extended family, but
Yeah.
it's the fucking girl's responsibility.
Well, again, this is why you don't let minors have babies. It should just be
Yeah.
outlawed.
I mean, here's the thing. I think if there was, oh God, now we're getting again into more ethical questions that I haven't thought through before I say it out loud. But like in my brain, I was like thinking like, yeah, it should not be legal to have kids until you're 18. Like to me, but because it isn't, there is no law. Like it really comes down to like
Yeah.
each individual person, and like I don't know.
I mean, they would never pass a law for that because they want people having
Right.
babies.
They want people in debt perpetually
I
and
hate this.
feeding into the system. Okay, so that was regretful parent post number 1, and then number 2, I'm gonna read here. This one's a pretty short one. Nobody at work knows. They ask me how my daughter is, and I say she's doing okay, and I smile. I say she's figuring things out. I say she's between jobs. I say she's looking at classes. I don't say that she's living in a halfway house. I don't say that she OD'd in my bathroom last winter because I was at the grocery store. I don't say I had to throw out the towels because they were covered in blood and bile. And I don't say I scrubbed the floor on my hands and knees before I called anyone, just so
Whoa.
paramedics wouldn't see how bad it really was. At church, I say I pray for her and laugh like it's a joke, and people nod, but nobody asks questions and nobody wants the real answer.
Fucking Christians.
Right. She texts me, I'm clean. And I say, I'm proud of you, even though I know it's probably not true. Even though I know that right after she sends that text, she's probably messaging 10 other people for money. I've lent her money I didn't have. I've covered her for her. I've lied for her, swallowed my pride so many times. It's a wonder I have a throat left. I used to think that I was a strong person. Now I flinch when somebody knocks at the door. I keep telling myself it'll get better, that this is a rough patch, that this is what unconditional love looks like. But it's not love anymore. It's maintenance. It's damage control. It's trying to survive one more day without something awful happening. I look at her baby pictures sometimes. I don't know why I still have them in my wallet. Habit, I guess. She was so beautiful, and she still is beautiful, but she's just eaten alive from the inside out. I regret having her, and I regret that I'm too ashamed to say that out loud to anyone but strangers on the internet.
You really did not prep us for this sharp left turn.
I've been on Regretful Parents subreddit for a very long time, and I barely ever see, I don't know if I've ever seen stories like this where their kid is a drug addict or an addict of some kind. It's usually, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, my kid's an asshole, my kid doesn't talk to me, I don't see them, they think I'm a bad parent, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't remember ever reading a post about somebody who's struggling with a child who has addiction. And I think, especially in America, where there's so many problems with addiction, I know for sure there's like a fentanyl epidemic here. There's a painkiller epidemic here, opioids. Like, this happens a lot.
Yeah, totally.
And nobody really talks about it.
No.
And, my brother struggled with addiction, and I grew up in a household where my parents and my brother were constantly fighting about alcohol and whatever else. And it's like, hush hush. Nobody wants to talk about it. It's very shameful. And so I was glad to read, not glad, but it was interesting to see a post about regret as it is intertwined with addiction, because I bet you if her daughter actually got cleaned and didn't go back to drugs, she'd probably have a good relationship with her daughter. And it's like, would you regret it then? I don't know. Like, probably not. So it's an interesting dynamic that like a person's life choices can make you regret it versus like you regretting it because of the time and energy commitment of just having a kid.
I would imagine a lot of it too is like, what could we have done differently to prevent this, even though most of the time there's nothing,
Oh, yeah. I mean, age-old question of nature versus nurture.
But again, I think this is the huge gamble that we talk about all the time on this podcast that people do not think about when they think about having kids. People think about the fantasy. They think, oh, I'm going to be a good parent. I'm going to do this right. I'm going to have perfect kids. They don't think about the fact that you're literally bringing a autonomous person onto the planet who can do whatever they want. And whatever they want might be something that you totally hate and causes you a lot of pain. Are you still willing to do that if that's the case?
Yeah. And people who like have kids to spite their families because quote unquote, I want to do it better than you did it. If you have like addiction that runs in your family, like that kind of stuff carries on. So you're gambling every time you say like, I'm going to have a kid, knowing your genetics, it might pass down people who are predisposed to have worse lives.
Jesus Christ.
Okay. I do want to point out real quick the top comments for that post, though. Top comment is scrubbing the floors so the paramedics won't see how bad your daughter's state is before you call for help. That told me everything I need to know.
Whoa. And I don't feel like that was necessary on somebody's grief.
100%. And then the second post is maybe stop doing everything like you have been doing and do the exact opposite behavior. Find a therapist to help you choose behaviors that empower you and set boundaries and protect you. Which, touche.
I don't disagree. But still.
But, and then also so these are the top three. The last one, you cleaned up the blood so the paramedics wouldn't see how bad it was. That's covering up for her. And like, what pisses me off is like, even in situations where you're trying to confide in a safe space online with other parents, they're all fucking judging and being rude.
Yeah. I mean, saying that to somebody they can't go back and redo what they did.
Yeah.
Man, people are so mean.
People are so mean. And the thing is, especially with addiction, I find, and I'm curious if other, listeners kind of this resonates with any of them and if they've experienced addiction in their families, but it's not something you can understand unless you go through it.
Yeah.
These people are it's so easy to be like, well, just like set boundaries.
Quit. Yeah.
Just like don't enable them. Don't give them money. Don't give them a house. And it's like, these people a lot of them have mental illness. A lot of them are sick. A lot of them are untreated. And it's not because you don't want them to or haven't encouraged them to. They don't do it. And that's not something you can control. So
totally. People are doing the best that they can with the resources that they have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So fuck off. Stop being so fucking judgy, parents.
I know, seriously. Just have some fucking compassion for people. Jeez Louise.
Another reason why I'm glad not to be in their fucking club.
Truly. Because it's like...
stupid.
It's so mean.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. This one is like, I didn't read the whole thing, and it's kind of long. We'll try. It's basically like a fucking poem. So that's why I kind of wanted to read it. It's very poetic.
Yikes.
We'll start, though, with no flowers, no mercy. Okay?
Is that the title?
That's how it starts. No flowers, no mercy. I labored for 22 hours with you. My back cracked, my blood spilled. I almost died. You came into this world wrapped in my pain, and I smiled anyway. I named you something beautiful, something soft, something I thought would grow into grace. I gave you everything, every damn thing. I went without so that you could have. I worked 2 jobs and I still made your birthday cakes from scratch. I skipped dates, dinners, and dreams. I gave you my body, my sleep, my time, my youth, my patience, and the last pieces of my self-worth. I stayed when I
Okay,
wanted to
I
leave.
hate this already, but go
I
on.
stayed when I wanted to leave. I fed you when my own stomach grumbled. I kept the lights on by lying to the creditors and selling my wedding ring. I told you you were loved even when you called me a bitch. I forgave you again and again.
Here we are.
Mother's Day, again. You didn't
Oh
call.
no.
You didn't
Oh
text.
God.
You didn't even like my post on Facebook. I saw you post on your story, out with friends, drinking some glittery drink with mint and lies. And now I sit here watching my coworkers get flowers and brunch reservations while I hide in the break room chewing stale almonds pretending I have quote unquote plans. You
Stale
say I was
almonds. Who was forcing you
I
to
don't
eat
know.
those?
I don't know. You say I was a bad mother, that I was too strict, too tired, too loud, too broken. Maybe I was, but I was there and I was trying. You say I didn't love you right. You forget I loved you at all. But
Okay.
now I'm
Okay.
done trying to explain myself to someone raised on my exhaustion. So let me say this clearly. May the rest of your days be flavored with the same silence you've served me. May your phone always die at 3%. May your therapist cancel your session on your most emotional day. May the group chat always pop off the moment you put your phone down. May your friends always eat the last slice of pizza without asking. May every podcast you love spoil itself mid-episode.
These are weird. Weird.
May your DoorDash orders arrive cold and incorrect. May the
What the
barista
fuck?
spell your name wrong on your birthday. May you always just miss the light. May you always just miss the sale. May your dream house sit next to a yapping dog and a man who plays the drums badly. May your eyebrows never quite match. May your car develop a rattle no mechanic can find. May you date someone who loves eating raw garlic and talking during movies. May your peach tree bear fruit so sweet only for the neighbors to pick it all at 3 a.m. May squirrels dig up your flower bulbs and replant them
Where are we
chaotically.
coming up with these?
There's
These
more.
are none of these are at the same level.
May
The
mice
zone.
nibble through your compost bin and chew your vegetable garden. May your favorite artist tour again, and may you sit next to someone with a chronic farting condition.
Wow.
May your Amazon packages be taken by a band of teenage delinquents who film themselves unboxing them on TikTok. May you pick the wrong stocks and brag too soon. May your YouTube ads never be skippable. May your dog pick your favorite rug to throw up on. May
What
you
the
pay for an
fuck?
expensive hairstyle that makes you look like a sad mushroom. And
What?
And may every future Mother's Day be marked by a sudden, inexplicable thunderstorm. No rain, just thunder. Just enough to rattle your windows, just enough to remind you. I loved you harder than anyone ever will, and you left me with nothing but silence.
This person is a narcissist. She should go no contact with her mom. That is a lunatic. I 100% am on the daughter's side in this story because
Yeah, totally.
that is
Totally.
crazy. Hated it.
Yeah, yeah. I have so
How
many
did
questions.
she come up with these things? Also, on your birthday, if your barista spells your name wrong, is that something you're supposed to be upset about?
I guess so. Maybe because it went to the wrong person.
These were such wild things. May your
I mean,
clothing always be 79% nylon. May your dryer lint always be a little stuck to the
May you pay
lint
for an
rack.
expensive hairstyle that makes you look like a sad mushroom.
What does that even mean?
I don't know.
May your Klarna account be hacked every 3 months. Like, what is going
Yeah,
on?
it's so specific and like random.
Yeah. And also, like, not at all of the same scale at all. It's like, may
No.
you get an ant infestation on the 4th beaver moon of every year. Where did you pull these things out from?
Yeah, she's trying to say, right? She wants her to be inconvenienced every time her daughter is happy, right? Anytime something good happens, I want you to feel bad.
That's a crazy thing to wish upon your child because they
I
didn't
know.
wish you Happy Mother's Day.
100%.
Wow.
So the top comment.
Oh
in
yeah,
response
let's
to
hear this.
This one cuts deep. To the person who wrote this, your pain is valid. Your story is not rare, but it should be. Too many parents were sold the myth that love and sacrifice would guarantee closeness, gratitude, or a seat at the brunch table on Mother's Day. Instead, they were left with. Can you hear these crows, by the way?
Are those crows? I thought the rats from the story were coming into your house.
Oops.
Wasn't there something about rats in the poem? I don't know. Maybe I'm making that up.
Too many parents were sold the myth that love and sacrifice would guarantee closeness, gratitude, or a seat at the brunch table on Mother's Day. Instead, they were left with silence, resentment, or cold almonds in a break room. Why are they? Should they be hot? Should you have hot almonds?
I do have a lot of questions about these almonds.
I don't want hot almonds.
No.
Anyway, to the children reading this, you don't owe your parents blind loyalty, but you do owe yourself honesty. If you've cut ties, ask yourself, was it healing or just habitual? Was it safety or punishment? And are you as healed as you think you are? I want to stop this bitch right here. Who the fuck wants to cut their parents out? Nobody. Everybody wants like a healthy, good relationship with their parents. Every single fucking person. Yeah. So if you resort to cutting your parent out, there is a reason.
Yeah, 100%.
Unless you're like totally deranged and mentally ill and fucked up.
But still, that's your prerogative.
But it's just like the idea that a lot of these regretful parents probably don't have good relationships with their kids for whatever reason. And they're projecting like, oh, kids just aren't grateful for their parents anymore these days. And it's like, no, bitch, you probably need fucking so much therapy as evidenced by this poem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Crazy poem.
Anyway.
I want to frame that poem.
To remind you.
Can somebody embroider that for me and put it on a pillow?
All right, well, here it goes. To everyone else, this page holds space for the messier truths of parenthood. This is one of them. Not all love stories end in roses and redemption. Some end in blocked numbers, unanswered posts, in a thunderstorm that sounds a lot like grief. Happy Mother's Day to those who did their best and did not get flowers. We're listening.
I'm so tired of people who choose this life feeling sorry for themselves.
I mean,
look, it's a gamble.
It's a gamble.
Go gamble $20 and then be mad that you lost $20. That is what the deal was.
Right. If you have kids, you accept all that may come, which includes your kid not talking to you, your kid being sick, your kid dying.
The jackpot is low.
Yeah.
People are stupid.